good day. And again,
Hello. How you
hello,
doing?
Jennifer Sterling. We are
Yes,
delighted to be speaking with you. It has been a long, long, long time.
very long time.
In the
Decades.
words, in the words of the infamous Christine Amanpour, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
So we want the public just to know a little bit more about Jennifer Sterling, formerly Jennifer Bean. You have such an impressive resume of running back, in the day, so to speak. I'm not trying to age you. I know we're both in the same era, but Jennifer, you were extremely impressive, and from what I remember, for a long time.
For quite a
And
while.
basically, I just wanted the public just to know a little bit more about the Jennifer, the runner, the Jennifer Bean, now Sterling, from your youth, up until you competed for Bermuda, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing that I found extremely, I never knew about you, even though, we're from the same era. You're one of 19 kids.
Correct, Mama.
Who are your parents? What were their names?
My parents' names were Florence and Burton Bean.
And what part
And
of the
they,
island did you grow up?
I grew up in the central, like Redner Road area. So I was born and raised in Redner Road.
So where were you along the chain of siblings? Were you in the middle or?
Well, I was the 13th girl and the 18th child.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you
So
mentioned
way
your
down the
parents.
line.
I'm sorry,
I'm saying way
continue.
down the line.
You mentioned your parents were married for quite a number of years. How long?
67 years before they passed.
Oh, and they passed only a couple of months apart.
Couple of months apart in 1999.
Wow. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
if you said you had 8 brothers, that's a big family. But when you said 19, my teeth almost fell out of my mouth. So
Yeah.
talking about, obviously you had a very impressive, I knew you as a track runner. So you mentioned you attended Whitney when it was a high school, correct?
Yes. Whitney
So,
Institute. I went to high school.
so what did you partake? What sports did you partake during Whitney?
Well, when I went to Whitney, I participated in every sport that I could get my hands on, whether it be netball, field hockey, gymnastics, softball. I was on every team. And, we had to compete against other schools. So, I enjoyed my life because I love sports. I love the outdoors. So I was always doing something with sports.
So during your high school days, like, were you coached by anyone? Did anyone know of any special talent that you had during your high school days?
No, I had no scouters, so to say. My gym teacher, she was really good at what she did, and I never thought of thinking about recruiters. I just enjoyed the sport, and no one ever came to Whitney looking for athletes. Recruiting, we just never had that.
So tell us about like where running started. Where did it fit in the picture? What age were you still in high school, or you finished high school? Where did it start? Where's the starting point for you for your running career?
Well, for my running career, I didn't know anything about representing Bermuda. I had no idea that that was even a possibility because I never was introduced to it. So really running in high school, I would run on sports day, which is once a year. And then after high school, one of my brothers, his name is Gary. He was out running one day saying, he wanted to exercise. And I said, oh, I'm going to join in. I want to go with you because I had nothing to do. I was about 12, 13 years old then. So I went out running with him, and to be able to go basically sightseeing, I enjoyed it. I like, this is relaxing. So that's basically where the where I started, realizing I can run a distance.
Awesome. So you're through high school now. You're still relatively unknown, right? Then I
Hmm.
heard you mention during our prior discussion, you mentioned the name Clive Long. Where
Yeah.
did Clive Long come into the picture regarding Jennifer at that time, Jennifer Bean?
Okay. Well, then I needed to, well, I started road running. My first race was road running. And
Really?
I went up to the track. And I forgot which race, but that was my I think I did one or two races. And then I realized I needed speed work. So I went up to the track and of
This
course
is no, this is if this back in the day, you're talking about the old National Stadium.
the old National Stadium, the
The
grass track.
grass track. Okay.
Grass track.
Yes.
Where
Continue.
we had rugby players practicing and so you have to be careful. So it was on the grass track. And then of course I was doing some speed work. And I guess that's when Clive Long saw me training. And that's when we started talking to him and he realized, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll see how you do. So we had a race one day and I did, I believe a 2:12, I think, for my first 800. He said, go ahead and try the 800. So I said, okay, no problem. So I ran the 800, did a 2:12, and he saw that didn't give my all. So he goes, okay, well, next time let's see how much better you do. Then I
About
did
what
a
age?
two.
About what age were you at this
I
time?
was
Just
about
trying to get a.
22.
You were
About 22.
22.
Mm-hmm.
So Clive
Yeah,
Long is discovering Jennifer Bean at the age of 22.
22. Yes.
So
Because
so
nobody
so
came to Whitney Institute looking for sports, looking for athletes. So I guess I
so
didn't think
continue.
anybody was at Whitney Institute.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah. So then that's where it went from. And I know one day my fastest 800 was 2:07, and that was on the grass track. I just ran around like a bullet, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, look at you!" So everything went from there.
So I classify you as having you as like a hidden talent, hidden treasure of
Right,
talent, so to speak.
right, right.
Wow.
I
So
didn't
it
know
started.
I didn't know anything about running.
So it started there. So that sounded like that catapulted your track career. So
Mm-hmm.
because if I'm mistaken, you once held the Bermuda record. You're the record holder in both the 8 and 1500 meters. Am I correct?
You're correct. Yes. My fastest 800 was 2:05, and my fastest 1500 was 4:29.
No, that's 205. That gets you a track scholarship. No doubt about that.
Yes, yes. And I think I performed that in my early 30s, a 2:05.
You ran 205 in your early 30s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. After having, I think I had two or three babies after that. Maybe just two. I can't remember.
Your best running came once you were a parent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, that's truly amazing.
Thank
Because
you.
I did a little bit of research and found that you had actually represented Bermuda in Helsinki,
Yeah. And
Finland.
in Italy. Two world championships I went to was in Helsinki, Finland, and Rome, Italy. So I went to
So
two of them.
Helsinki, what year are we talking about for that? You
Oh
representing
dear.
Bermuda?
I think it was 89. I can't remember. I think it was 89. I really
Okay.
don't remember.
And how did you make out in was that your first international race? How
Yeah,
did you
well, my
perform?
first big international race.
Yeah, how did you perform? Do you remember?
I got into the semifinals. And
Awesome.
then, yeah, I had to run against some very strong Russian women. So
Okay,
they
you
look
were
like giants compared to me.
okay, you were competing against the Eastern Bloc athletes. That
Yes. And she still
oh,
holds the record today. The girl who won the world championship, she did a 1:53, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're talking
Or
about
one, yeah.
You're
Yeah,
talking about
Krakatalova.
Jamila Krotchalovia.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still
Yeah.
the world record holder in the women's 800. You competed against her.
Yeah, we were in the same race. And
Wow, that's a moment. Would you consider that one of the pinnacles of your running career at that time, or?
um, I think it was to have that experience. That was definitely one of the pinnacles. But that was when I was running 209s. And then, of
Okay,
course, later I hit that 205 in Argentina, which
right.
was one of my, like, hey, I still was able to knock that out.
Wow, ain't that something? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really something. So you were pretty much a late starter.
Yeah.
I also remember you competing in the Bank of, at that time was sponsored by the Butterfield Bank of Butterfield mile races.
Right.
And can you remember how many times you were on the first place podium?
I was on the first place 4 times.
Four.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow.
My
Wow.
last one was 1997, to be exact. Yeah, my last Battlefield Mile was 1997.
So up until that time, 1997 now, up until that time, had you I remember you meant you running in the May 24th because I wanted to go there. So I know we kind of just skipped over there. So do you remember the year that you ran May 24th?
It's either 96 or 97, one of those years.
And how did you
Definitely one of
place?
those years.
How did you place?
I think I was third woman, and I did 128.
And came third in 128.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, it's not one of my greatest moments because I was wishing it was over at 10 miles.
So you definitely love the 800 and the 1500-meter distances as opposed to the 13-mile distance.
Oh, yes, I could do 10K on down, not 13, 10 and 13 miles. No,
Right.
that
Awesome.
wasn't my forte.
Awesome. Well, we're here talking to Jennifer Sterling, and we will be right back after these messages.
Healthy people in healthy communities.
Let's get a drink before class. I'm gonna get some water. I don't want any sugar sitting in my mouth. Yeah, sugar is a bacteria-causing acid that eats your teeth. True that. I don't want an acid attack in my mouth. I look good, girl, and I want to stay that way. This is a message from the Department of Health.
Welcome back. We're here talking with Jennifer Sterling, Bermuda's record holder, former record holder in both the 800 and 1500 meters. And Jennifer, we were just talking about your one and only experience in May 24th, 1995, I think you mentioned, placing third, but you said you didn't enjoy that by no means. So I take it there was no motivation to train any longer to participate in the May 24th. Is that correct?
Right, that was my first and my last May 24th.
Yeah.
First and last. So
So
10K on down, no
Oh.
higher than 10Ks.
yeah. Looking at your little bit of information I found, you also attended St. Augustine University in North Carolina. So tell
Correct.
us about, and from what I understand, you did a whole year, did well on a track scholarship. Tell us a little bit about your first year and what sort of scholarship you achieved, you earned.
Okay, well, I went to St. Aug in 1996. I went there I was supposed to start in the fall of 1996, but then I started it's a bit confusing here. I have to get those dates right. Because I started in the spring. And I went there for a whole year.
As a parent now you've got kids, you have kids.
Yes, that's right. I've had three children since before that. I have 3 kids before that.
You mentioned your profession was a hairdresser, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So continue about this your freshman year at St. Augustine.
Right. So I was in my freshman year, and I came over here on track and field scholarship. So my first time coming over, I went straight into indoor, which I had never done in my life.
And
So I went
what
on the indoor
distances were you
track
running? What distances were you competing in now?
in the 800 and the 1500. Sometimes the 400, because my coach, Coach Williams, who is, he's in the Hall of Fame for being, he's one of the, he was an Olympic coach. So he wanted me to also do the 400, just in case he wanted me to help with the 4x4.
Oh, stop right there. So you were coached by a future Hall of Famer.
He is now a Hall of
Wow.
Famer.
Continue.
Yeah, he just got inducted.
Continue.
Yeah. So therefore I ran for the indoor, and I was an MVP in one of the CIAA track and field, indoor track and field. And then of course we were getting ready for outdoor. So I went from indoor track right into outdoor. We went to California for our NCAA. So I came first in that for our school. And
So is this NCAA Division I or NCAA Division II?
Division II.
Okay, tell us more.
So I came first in the 800 then, and I, during my stint for doing track and field for St. Aug, I also got 800 meters on American. So.
And what age are we talking about, Jennifer? You're at what tender age doing all this?
I was at the tender age of 36.
People don't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, as a freshman, I was 36. So I was doing all of this here, and then come the fall, I ran cross country for them. So I, of course, me being an avid cross country runner, I was basically very far ahead of any other competitor. So basically running by myself through the woods, and winning quite a way ahead. So then I got into the regional. I got into the regionals, which is huge. I forgot which district, but with East District.
Sure.
So I was able to run and compete with, what's about 300 girls. So awesome. I got to compete. Yeah, it was a pretty big event for the cross country. And then, of course.
No, continue.
No, you go ahead. That's fine. So it was a great experience. It was a great experience going to college for the first time.
So you're abroad in university, 3 kids in your freshman year, in your mid 30s, but then you only did that year. Then you went back to Bermuda. Is that correct?
Yes, came back to Bermuda, and had to stay because of circumstances beyond my control. And then we came back in 2001.
And went back and then you resumed, or you earned another scholarship, or continued the scholarship.
That's right. So I came back to St. Aug, and I resumed running for them for cross country, so that I can, get through school on a scholarship. So he gave me another scholarship, and I represented St. Aug for another 2 years in running. Maybe, 2 years in running for cross country.
If you were in your mid 30s in your freshman year, you took a few years off, came back to Bermuda. So we're talking about now you're approaching your 40s or early 40s, going back.
41, 42, when I ran again for them.
And what did you study, out of curiosity?
Education.
Repeat that.
I studied education.
For what? For you're an educator now?
Correct. I'm a 4th grade teacher.
Okay, so you studied child education or
elementary education.
Awesome. Yeah. So you switched from a former hairdresser to now an educator.
Correct.
In your 40s, and you're running on a track scholarship to and finish off. So I mean that's not what people do. Kids normally go to university in their teens and early 20s.
Yes, on scholarships.
So you're competing now. You're now a 40-year-old competing against teenagers. Is that correct?
Yes, and we came over. I started back to school after my youngest daughter. We came over here when she was 1. And then I ran for St. Aug around the 2002 spring semester. So she was one. She was one, and then of course I started running for St. Aug in cross country, and of course I came second in the CIAA. And I was so
CIAA. I
disappointed.
think that stands for Collegiate Inter Athletic Association.
Yes. So I came second, like 10 seconds behind the first place, and I was so disappointed. I'm like,
in
how,
your
I'm
40s
so used
still,
to
in
it.
your
In
40s.
my
Let's keep
40s.
things in perspective.
Right. I was 40, 41, 42, running against someone who was maybe 20.
Did you
So we
did
were
you
neck and
glean?
neck. It was a hard race. Hmm?
I don't know of a lot of athletes, especially at an elite level, that participate in athletics at the age of 40. But I do know two, a male and female.
Yeah.
One is the legendary Marlene Ottey from Jamaica in sprinting.
Oh, yes. I remember Marlene. Yes.
Yeah, she was kind of nicknamed the Bronze Queen.
Right.
And the other was a male sprinter from St. Kitts and Nevis known as Kim Collins, who still ran exceptionally well at the age of 40. So you're right in that category.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for mentioning that. I feel better.
Age is only a number, Jennifer.
It's only a number. It's all mental.
And I'm sure you're old enough to be some of those kids that you run against. You're probably old enough to be their parent.
That's right. The parent. Yep. So it was interesting to know that I was so able to compete at that high, I would say, speed, because it was a high speed race, and it was very hilly. I ran equal to Collector's Hill, and maybe even steeper. We had to run that hill twice in that cross country race. So it was interesting to know that I could still compete at the level at that age.
Yeah. And all I can think is that you kept yourself in great shape all year round. Is that correct?
Did my best. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you sum up your running career, not that it's ended now, what are some of the key highlights? If you were reading the book to your kids, which I'm sure you did in the past, what would you say is the highlight of your running career?
I think the highlight of my running career. The highlights / achievements would be that I was able to travel quite a lot to compete against, countries I would never have dreamed of competing against, meeting people that I would never have dreamed of meeting. It was something that helped me to grow as a human being, to be so well versed in meeting new people. And most of all, I think the highlight would be athletics makes us all very strong, mentally especially. When you go through any adversity, it can bring you through in leaps and bounds, and you can just brush yourself off and keep on going because of that discipline, because of that strength that we all can attain because of athletics. But we have to be really mentally strong in athletics too. So
wow,
I think,
that's a testimony in itself. That's
a
testimony. I learned a couple of things in talking to you. I learned a few things. You was one of 19 kids. I never ever knew that. Right. You competed against the steel world record holder in the women's 800 meters, Jamila Krotchalovia.
Yes.
Like, wow. That's, my goodness. Wow. That's amazing.
I'll never
Are you still running?
That.
Are you still running? Are you out jogging today? How do you keep fit in this day?
Right now, actually, Dan and I were talking on Sunday, and I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I think I'll go back on the track for my age group for masters. I said, maybe I'll get back on the track for 800, 1500 for my age group. So we were talking like that on Sunday. So that's what I'm thinking of.
Sounds so. But are you actively doing anything structured or?
No, nothing structured right now. Besides, just staying in shape, doing a half an hour here of exercise up in my exercise room. Just doing a little bit of Zumba here and there, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
Not 100.
That's
Because, with me, I mean, people say, well, how do you stay so small? I said, well, it's hard to gain weight because I've got my father's genes,
okay. Well, that's a huge
So,
plus.
but
A
I don't
huge
want to
plus.
run a whole lot too much. I don't want to run a whole lot because, I have those genes that you lose weight fast.
Sure. In
And
closing,
I'm
we're,
conscious
we're,
of it.
wind, we're winding down. I wish we had more time. Just a few parting words to our viewing public. Maybe if you can sum it up in 10, 15 seconds.
Well, I just know that I miss the encouragement that my Bermudian families, friends and families gave me. I appreciated all their support when I was running in Bermuda. They were the best supporters that anybody could ever have. And I just want them to realize how much that meant to me.
Well, you heard from Jennifer Sterling. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.